air adventures of Biggles.
Ginger and Ian Ross have been recaptured. While he was attempting to take Ian's life, Paul Katrin was killed, and the police officer Ivan Krolsky herded his charges into the launch and away to Kiev, where they're to be tried by the Russian authorities. Meanwhile, Biggles attends a conference at Scotland Yard. After his grueling experiences of the last week, he is tired and irritable, and not inclined to waste time with official bumbling. When Levison, a Foreign Office official, queries his statements, Biggles turns to Assistant Commissioner Raymond and threatens to resign.
Hand me some paper and I'll write out the resignation now. Then I can search for Ginge and young Ross in my own way.
Biggles, there's no need for this.
There's every need for it. Those lads joined the International Brigade so that they could lead me to it. Since they did, Erich von Stalhein came into the picture. And now he knows far more than is healthy for Ginge and Ross. It's more imperative than ever that I find this brigade and them.
Raymond, perhaps you know what this fellow's talking about, but I can't make head nor tail of it.
I'll tell you what I'm talking about, Mr. Levison. The fine line between life and death. That's something men like you never come up against, sitting in your comfortable offices here in London. And I'm not talking only of the life and death of my friends, but of thousands of poor blighters who are fighting over in Korea. This thing is important. Vitally important.
What nonsense is this? How does Korea come into it?
Oh, Biggles, if you'll only calm down, you'll be able to explain all this.
Will you allow me to find Ginge and Ian Ross?
Certainly not, if it's going to start a full-scale war.
I'm asking Assistant Commissioner Raymond. Will you allow me to find Ginge and Ian Ross?
Well, how can I tell, Biggles? We haven't discussed it yet.
Then you can take my resignation. I'll charter a plane myself and leave for Manchuria immediately.
Now, look here, Biggles.
Gentlemen, do you mind if I have a word?
You're the only one who hasn't so far, Major Charles.
Bigglesworth, you've worked with intelligence many times, haven't you?
Yes.
Then you'll understand how vitally important this question is to us. How you carry out your activities is no concern of mine, but before you go, I would like any information you can pass on to me. If anything happens to you, it'll be intelligence which carries on the work, now won't it, eh?
That sounds reasonable enough.
And for my sake, Biggles, don't hand in your resignation until after the conference. You're too important to Scotland Yard and to England for us to act foolishly simply because, we don't all understand each other.
Meaning me, I suppose. Well, you fellows seem to know more about it at this stage than I do, so I'll take a back seat for a while. I'm sorry if I trod on your corns, Inspector.
That's all right, Mr. Levison. Our jobs clashed, that's all. Shall I carry on, sir?
Yes, please, old man. Summarize this affair so that we've a basis for discussion, and then we can discuss it.
Well, there's this desertion of United Nations soldiers to join the Communist International Brigade. I've 2 men acting as spies for me who joined the brigade as recruits. They'll be able to give me detailed information of the brigade's work and composition, if I ever see them again. Unfortunately, the communists may already know their identity, so I can't guarantee that we will hear from them.
We'll discuss Ginge and Ross later, Biggles. Tell us the information you have now about the International Brigade.
It's stationed at Kratsen, which is in Manchuria, not far from the border of Korea.
And you said that it had some bearing on the Korean War.
For the moment, that's the sole reason for its existence. These soldiers aren't being used to fight, not in the normal way. They are broadcasting to the United Nations forces in Korea, trying to persuade them to stop fighting.
Oh, so that's it, eh?
Well, I'm hanged. I never thought of that one.
You said this matter was serious. You aren't going to suggest that a few men spouting over the radio is anything to worry about?
Mr. Levison, I don't
Perhaps
know...
I can settle Mr. Levison's mind, Inspector. Intelligence takes a very serious view of this propaganda broadcasting. It's part of the new psychological warfare, and it can be very dangerous. It was used with a good deal of effect in the last war.
Well, if you take it seriously, Major...
I do. The fact that this brigade is international means that it can broadcast to all the various nations fighting in Korea. The broadcasters will suggest to the soldiers that they stop fighting and insist that they be sent home. If this had any effect, it could badly weaken the United Nations force.
But will it have any effect? Sensible soldiers wouldn't take any notice of that nonsense.
No, wouldn't they? Korea's a very cold and uncomfortable place. The fellows are fighting under dreadful conditions there. You can be sure they don't like fighting there at all. So when they hear constantly over their radios and loudspeakers talk of their own countries and the comforts waiting them back home, and at the same time suggestions that they're fighting an unjust war and taking the lives of innocent men, this would have a most serious effect on their morale, eh?
You can take it as definite, Mr. Levison. This must be stopped.
Then you will agree to my plan, sir?
What is your plan, Biggles?
That I take a large plane, preferably a flying boat, and leave for Korea with my team as soon as we're equipped. We'll base ourselves on one of these South Korean ports and then reconnoiter this place Kratsen. As soon as we know enough about it, we'll move into Manchuria, commando style, destroy the broadcasting station and bring back any of the deserters who've had enough of communism. And at the same time, rescue Ginger and Ian Ross.
But I've pointed this out before, man. We aren't at war with Manchuria. You can't just rush in there and carry out a military operation.
A commando operation, Mr. Levison. And if the Chinese government sets up a squeal, ask them what they're doing with our men. They aren't at war with us either.
Yes, they've initiated this business. We're quite entitled to hit back in the same way.
You suggest a commando operation, Inspector. If we send troops in there, that might cause a big flare-up. All the justification in the world won't alter things if a general war breaks out, you know.
Precisely. That'll be the view of the Foreign Office.
I don't think a war will flare up. The communists know that their own hands are dirty. Just as the operation will be carried out under the lap, they'll try to stamp it out under the lap. The world will hear nothing about it.
Inspector, if you send in troops...
Not troops, Major. My commandos will be in civvies. My team and I have carried out stunts like this before.
This is a big operation, Biggles. Your air police won't be strong enough to carry it through without help.
I've thought about that, sir. If you agree to the plan, I'd like your permission to co-opt Gimlet King and some of his boys.
Captain King, the commando?
He was during the war, but he and his blokes are back in Civvy Street now. A job like this might tempt them back into action.
Well, as you say, that depends on the ultimate plan. What's your opinion of it, Major Charles?
Oh, it's very loose, but it may be the stronger for that. Do you think you can cope with the detail as you go along, Bigglesworth?
I always work that way.
Yeah.
I like a broad scheme as a basis, and then I meet what comes when it comes.
Then I'd say intelligence will agree to this, providing due care is taken, of course.
Well, that's more than I can say for the Foreign Office. What you're proposing, Bigglesworth, is a very serious business.
Very serious. Particularly for me and my blokes. If anything goes wrong, you gentlemen may lose your jobs. We'll lose our lives.
I'll take the responsibility for Biggles' tact in handling this, Mr. Levison. But before I agree to the raid, I'd like to know that the Foreign Office isn't actively against us.
We can't sanction it, of course.
I'm not asking that.
Yes, I know what you're asking, well enough. Well, all right. I can shut my eyes for a few weeks, I suppose. But not if there's a general flare-up.
There won't be a general flare-up, will there, Biggles?
No, sir. But there'll be one of the hottest raids you've ever heard of. And out of it, I hope the rescue of Ginge and Ian Ross.
Wonder how the time's going, Ginge.
Just a sec. Oh, hello, my watch isn't going. The confounded thing hasn't worked since it was doused in that river, I suppose.
I should say it must be getting on for 6 at least. It's growing darker outside.
Yes. Well, as far as you can see outside this darn cell. You know, Ian, however they decide to punish us, I hope it won't be by imprisonment in one of these cells.
Well, if it's not imprisonment, Ginge, you realize, of course, they might kill us.
Yes. Ivan Krosky seemed to think they would. You know, Ian, I wish he were on the court-martial. He might be a Russian and all that goes with it, but he's fair. He does his job, and that's all.
Aye, Krolski's a good bloke. It seems to me quite a few of these Russians are all right. There was Anna, too, if you remember.
There was Anna. The trouble is, we're as likely to find phonetics like Paul on the court, you know. I've no doubt of it. And if we do, we're sunk.
I suppose the court-martial will start right on 6.
Why shouldn't it? After all, that's the time they said.
And that'll be soon. Ginge, they're coming.
All right. All right, Ian, calm down. They haven't passed sentence yet.
Good grief. That's Mr. Starlick.
You may call me von Stalhein now, Ross. And may I call you Hebelthwaite, Mr. Heinmarsch?
You know all about us, do you?
Yes, all about you. That is why I'm in Kiev. When I heard that the plane was stolen, I flew here immediately. It seems that I have arrived just in time.
In time for what?
To give evidence against you at your court-martial. To prove that recruit Hindmarsh is none other than Constable Hebelthwaite of the British Air Police. To prove that both of you are spies. I think that should ensure the verdict I want. Don't you?
With von Stalhein to testify against them, Ginge and Ian Ross must be found guilty by the court-martial. How can they avoid the sentence of death? Can Biggles help them now? Don't miss the next absorbing episode of The Air Adventures of Biggles.
The Air Adventures of Biggles.
After the excitement of their attempted escape, Ginger and Ian Ross almost welcome the quiet of the prison cell in Kiev, but they know that there is no safety there. At 6 o'clock, they are to appear before a Russian court to answer charges of murder and theft. The murder of the pilot Lutsov, which they did not commit, and the theft of his plane. At a few minutes to 6, they're paid a visit by Erich von Stalhein. He knows of Ginger's identity, and he will press another charge, that of spying.
You will understand, Hebelthwaite, that with my knowledge of you, I can sway this court as I wish.
I know that. Why did you come to our cell? To gloat over us?
Partly. Bigglesworth and Lacey slipped through my fingers in Berlin.
Oh, did they, by George?
Naturally, then, I am most eager to balance our accounts. But I came here to make certain that the mysterious recruit Hindmarsh is, in fact, Constable Hebelthwaite of the English Air Police.
You didn't know that?
You are clever, but I suspected it. I saw Lissy with Bigglesworth in Prague and Lacey in Berlin. You I saw nowhere. But there was this recruit for the International Brigade who appeared so strangely in Paris and who had red hair. This is not the first time your red hair has brought you trouble, Hebelthwaite.
It's brought you a bit in the past, von Stalhein. All right, you have me set. But there's no need to suspect Ian of spying. I'll bet this is the first time he's heard of any of this.
Yes, it is. I've been calling him Ginger, but I thought his name was George Hindmarsh.
Do not take me for a fool, Ross. Twice you have tried to escape since you were recruited for the brigade. You will not suggest that you talked Hebelthwaite into these attempts?
No, they were my own idea, both of them. But Ian still didn't know who I was.
Well, of course I didn't. I agreed simply because I don't like the sound of this brigade now I know more about it.
That is unfortunate. But I still do not believe you. I know that Hebelthwaite is spying on the brigade.
At any rate, what makes you think I'm spying?
Oh, come now.
I tried to escape, didn't I? Would I have done that if I were a spy?
Why did you do that?
I knew Ian Ross was talked into joining this filthy brigade under false pretenses. With Biggles okay, I joined too, so that I could get him out of it. That's what I've tried to do. Twice.
You didn't tell me all this, Ginge.
No, it was easier to let you think I was another recruit to persuade you to make a break with me.
Well, I'll be hanged. And here was I thinking you were in the same boat as myself.
You are, as you put it, in the same boat, both of you. You'll face a number of charges at the court-martial, but the most serious will be that of spying. Now, I wish to see the president of the court before it starts. I am ready to come out. Open the door.
You won't listen to us?
I shall listen to you with pleasure. In court. Auf Wiedersehen.
Did I say the right things, Ginge?
Yes, you were fine, Ian. I was hoping you'd back up the story about not knowing me.
Well, I thought you wanted me to, but what was the idea? It won't alter von Stalhein's attitude, will it?
I don't know. He's out to get me, of course. There are too many old scores to be settled for it to be otherwise. But he might go easy on you.
But do you think so?
He looked a bit doubtful there for a minute. He might concentrate on the one charge and leave it at that.
Against you?
Yes.
Oh, that's no good. I want to go free, of course, but not at your expense. We're in this together.
Our job's to get out of it as best we can. If you can dodge the serious charges, you may be able to help me. And that's about as much as we can hope for.
You think I might go free?
Well, I doubt that. But you may be freer than I'll be. If you are, I'll have to leave it to you to help me.
Of course. I'll do anything I can. Ginge. Ginge, did you hear that?
Yes. Marching men.
What does that mean?
It means our escort's coming. This is it, Ian.
Six a bally clock. How much longer is Raymond going to keep the jolly old lord and master?
We'd better not keep him yapping too long. Biggles wasn't in the mood for it when he left here.
Poor old Biggles is worn out. He should be resting instead of dashing around to conferences. Sometimes Raymond has no consideration.
Well, you can blame Biggles for this conference, Pat. He insisted that it be held here this afternoon.
Actually, the old trout didn't want a conference at all. His idea was to see Raymond and then ooze off to Manchuria. It was the old assistant commissioner who wanted the other bods in the powwow.
I hope they're not too hard on Biggles, that's all. He'll never recover from his wound at this rate.
Ah, a familiar sound, what?
Hello there, Biggles.
How did you go? Supremely well, my children. You can sit back and relax again.
Well, I hate to stress the point, old Bean, but we have been relaxing.
You shouldn't have been. About an hour ago, you were all on the verge of resigning from the air police.
What's that? I say, you have been having fun.
What do you mean, Biggles?
There was one of those bumbling old officials from the Foreign Office at the conference. He jabbed me on the raw and I threatened to resign. It put me in a much better humor.
Good for you. Some of those blighters need treating like that.
Oh, I say, by Jove. I bet old Raymond's face was a picture, what? We lissies would love to have seen that.
He didn't look very happy. He knew I meant it. However, it wasn't necessary.
They agreed to your plan?
Yes. Raymond did anyway. And he's the only one who matters. The others agreed to turn a blind eye. Unless we start a full-scale war, of course.
Oh, can't we start a war? Harriet simply loves the dirty great stout.
No, she doesn't. None of us want that.
We probably want it less than some of those officials. We know what it's like.
When do we get cracking?
First thing tomorrow. Too late to do much tonight. You and I will tee up a kite and equipment and so forth, Algy, while Pat and Bertie take a trip down to Kent.
Oh, by Jove, now that's the way I like to get cracking. Waffle off to Kent for the day. Now, we'll pack a hamper, Pat, and have a jolly good picnic, what?
I don't think Biggles means us to go for a picnic, Bertie.
I'm afraid not. You'll do your work there and then come straight back to London.
What is the work, Biggles?
I've an address here of a property where you'll find a certain character staying for a holiday. You'll find this character and ask him if he'd care to whip across to Manchuria with us.
Oh, I say, now, look here, old sausage. We don't want any other trouts waffling in on our preserves. I mean to say, surely we can handle this little do by ourselves.
We'll handle it better with him and a few members of his private army.
What is this? Are we taking a task force with us to Manchuria?
In a way.
Well, I object. we Lissies wallop in officially, personally and irrevocably our most enormous bally objection.
And when you see Gimlet King, ask him...
Gimlet King? Baked potatoes? You don't mean...
I mean that Gimlet and some of his boys may come in with us on this stunt. It was an inspiration I had at Scotland Yard. Raymond thought that our party would be too small for the job, so I suggested that we should call in Gimlet and his blokes.
That's a wonderful idea, Biggles. If this is going to be a commando operations, we couldn't have anyone better than Gimlet with us.
Sizzling sausages, no. By Jove, just about the best bally commando there is, old Gimlet. Apart from ourselves, of course.
And he's the character we're to see in Kent?
Yes, Pat. You'll find him, and if possible, bring him back with you. Then we can put our heads together and plan exactly how we're going to break up this international brigade.
Oh, and while we're about it, you won't forget a couple of idiotic young trouts named Ginge and Ian Ross, will you?
Above all, we'll plan how to rescue Ginge and Ross. I don't know what those youngsters are going through, but I shan't relax until I know they're safe again.
Back in the cell again. I wonder if it's for keeps this time, Ian.
Oh, don't talk like that. It's bad enough having to wait for the verdict without guessing at it.
How can we help guessing at it? At any minute we may hear we've only a few more hours to live.
Don't, Ginge.
I'm sorry, Ian, but my nerves aren't made of steel. I found that trial a dickens of a strain.
You were grand, Ginge. The way you stuck to your story.
You did pretty well yourself. Yeah, but I'm darned if I know whether we convinced them.
Oh, I think they believed us. At the end, anyway. I couldn't understand what they were saying most of the time, but the old colonel seemed a bit our way.
I didn't dare look at them. I just kept concentrating on the fact that you joined the brigade in good faith, and that I'd followed to pull you out. If we put that across, they might treat us leniently, despite von Stalhein.
Aye. And even he seemed to understand that we don't care much for his international brigade now.
Yeah.
You know, the more I think of it, Ginge, the more optimistic I feel. We put up a pretty good case.
If it was England, I'd agree with you, Ian. But we're behind the Iron Curtain. And here, we can't be sure of anything. Hello.
The verdict.
Ah, we haven't got to put up with you again, have we, von Stalhein?
Why not? As I am such an old friend, I am granted certain privileges. One of them is to announce to you the verdict of the court-martial.
Ginge and Ian wait tense and nervous for von Stalhein's announcement. Despite their hopeful talk, they know the extreme danger of their position. What is the verdict of the Russian court? Listen for the next dramatic episode of The Air Adventures of Biggles.
The Air Adventures of Biggles.
After their attempted escape, Ginger and Ian Ross have been brought back to the Russian town Kiev to be tried by an army court-martial. Their chances of escaping with a light sentence were completely dashed when Erich von Stalhein arrives to give evidence against them. After the trial, they return to their cell while the court decides their verdict. The announcement is brought to them by von Stalhein.
As I'm such an old friend, I have been granted the privilege of telling you the verdict.
We do a darn sight better without your friendship, thanks.
What is the verdict?
I see you're nervous of it, Ross. What is it you fear most?
Don't play with him, von Stalhein. We'll face any punishment we have to, but there's no need to add torture to it.
Are we going to be shot?
Is that all you expect to happen? A quick, sudden death from a bullet?
Well, what else?
Don't let him bait you, Ian. Can't you see he's come here to make us squirm?
You are so right, Hibblethwaite. It is most enjoyable to see Ross on the verge of complete terror, and you fighting so hard to control your fury.
I wish I had a bullet here.
For my quick, sudden death, I'm sure you do. However, I shall remain free. You, on the other hand...
Well, come out with it.
Are we going to be imprisoned?
No. At least, not in the way you think. Let us say your punishment may include both imprisonment and death.
What the dickens are you talking about?
A comedy, my friend. A farce, in my opinion. These Russians think in a peculiar manner.
Von Stalhein, either tell us...
I or any other German would have shot you out of hand because you have proved yourselves dangerous. But the Russians... they like to think themselves practical men.
Then we're going to live.
For a time. The court decided to make use of you before you die.
How?
You were on your way to Manchuria to serve in the International Brigade. You were to carry out important work for communism.
That was your idea.
It is also the idea of the Russians. They say that you will continue to Manchuria as was planned. You will go there and carry out such work as is given to you. The court feels that it would be a waste to destroy such valuable property as you. Instead, you will be made to assist the cause of international communism.
Like blazes, we will.
If you do not, you will be killed.
I don't understand all this, Ginge. What does it mean?
It means that even though they know all about us, they're still going to send us through to the brigade. Then they think they're going to make us work for them in some filthy way. But they are wrong.
That is entirely up to you, Hibblethwaite. If you prefer the alternative.
But what work do they want us to do? I thought the brigade was a fighting unit.
Well, do you intend to fight in Korea against our own blokes?
You will find out in good time what you are expected to do. But it is not fighting, in the sense that you think.
Oh, then that's all right, Ginge. What are you worrying about?
I'm worrying about the nature of that work.
You will learn.
And do you think I'll do it? You know me, von Stalhein. Do you think I'll play along with their dirty schemes?
I warned them that you will prove difficult. Frankly, Hibblethwaite, I urged the death sentence. But the court insisted on this method.
And what about Biggles? Do you think he's going to sit quiet while I'm your prisoner?
I have the greatest respect for Bigglesworth's ability, and I rarely underestimate him. But this time, I do not think he can help you. The headquarters of the International Brigade at Kratzen is highly secret. Too secret for your friends to know of it. You may laugh, Hibblethwaite, but our position is much stronger than yours. I assure you that Bigglesworth will be unable to help you once you are in Manchuria. Even if he should learn of your whereabouts, my spies in England will report his activities to me.
So you've got spies watching him. We thought that.
Oh, yes. I know where danger lies. But the moment he moves to help you, that will be an unfortunate moment for you. You will die. And so, undoubtedly, will your friends.
When do we go to Manchuria?
You leave tomorrow. Unfortunately, without my company. I should have liked so much to watch what they are going to do with you. But it is my misfortune that affairs need my presence in Berlin. Open the door. I wish to come out now.
I wish you were with us, von Stalhein, in this. I might have had the chance of screwing your neck.
I doubt if you will ever have that chance again, Hibblethwaite. I foresee trouble for you in Kratzen. So this time it is not auf Wiedersehen, but adieu.
I'm still a bit muddled about this, Ginge. But it's good news, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't like the sound of this work they're going to give us. And I'm worried about those spies watching Biggles. They might scotch his plans completely.
That's the old gimlet sausage. Couldn't be anyone else, what?
How can you tell from this distance?
Well, didn't you notice the way he sat his old GG as it took that fence? Only old Gimlet can jump like that.
He's a wonderful horseman. Look at him now. He's giving his horse its head.
Yes, by Jove, pity he isn't racing instead of just exercising the belly thing. You know, Pat, the old blight is almost as good on a horse as he is in a fight. And that's saying something, by Jove.
I haven't seen that side of him. But if he can live up to his commander reputation, he must be pretty good.
Yeah, he is, old darling. We worked with his gang a few times during the war. And, well, they're not too blinking far below our standard.
Don't be so modest, Bertie.
Oh, by jingo. Oh, by Jove, Gimlet King and his boys are the only blighters I dream of comparing with us. And they aren't at all very bad. Here, if the old trout joins us on this stunt, you'll see for yourself.
We'd better catch his attention and ask him about it, hadn't we? Biggles wants us back in London as soon as possible, don't forget.
Yes, well, I'll toot old Harriet at him. That's a sound he won't ignore. Now, come on, old girl, summon the slaves.
He heard you.
Yeah, of course he jolly well heard me. I'll have you know that old Harriet can summon the bally dead if necessary. Haven't you noticed how Algy and Ginge jump to it when the old girl bleats?
Poor Ginger.
Hello there!
What ho, Bean? What ho, what ho, what ho?
By all that's wonderful, what are you doing here, Bertie? And you, Pat? Oh, it's a glorious day, and this is the most glorious thing that's happened in it. I haven't seen either of you for ages.
Oh, don't speak too soon, Gimlet. You may be seeing too much of us before long.
We, great Khan, are emissaries of the noble Lord and Master Bigglesworth. The old trout bids us have talk with thee forthwith.
You haven't changed, Bertie. Still as big an ass as ever.
Biggles wants to know if you'll join us on an assignment, Gimlet, to Manchuria.
It's an underground job against the jolly old Como types. And, while we're about it, we're going to rescue old Ginge from their clutches. Interested?
Am I interested in an assignment to Manchuria? Oh, I'll hop down from this nag, and then you can tell me more of it. I haven't been so interested in anything for years.
Oh, so these are the English worms. Dear feet, dogs. You're in the presence of Vladimir Protopopov.
And who's he when he loses his sense of humor?
Vladimir never loses his sense of humor. To him, everything is so funny. But nothing is so funny as the English pigs used to fly to Manchuria. This I shall be enjoying.
Well, I'm glad someone's going to enjoy it.
You're a pilot, are you?
I am your nothing. You are my prisoners. From now you do nothing. Go nowhere without Vladimir. We are together for always until you die.
And what do you mean by that?
I am ordering to fly you to Manchuria, to stay with you at Kratzen during the day and through the night. Never to leave your sides. It is for me to see that you are obeying the orders. That you try none of the English funny business, eh? You tried the funny business. You know what I do?
What? For Pete's sake, put that gun away. If you fire it in a cell like this, you're liable to hit someone.
You tried the funny business? That's what they do. Eat someone. Now you come. Let me take you to Manchuria, to the International Brigade.
Is it Kratzen?
It's a camp of some sort. Come over to this window. The huts are quite close.
Well, those men in front of the huts. What are they doing, Ginge?
They're lined up for a parade. They seem to be watching the blokes on that platform.
One of those fellas is tied to a frame. What's going on?
Look away, Ian. Don't watch.
They're whipping him. Ginge, they're flogging that man.
I know. And if that's a sample of what goes on, I don't think I'm going to like the International Brigade.
Ginger firmly pushes Ian from the cabin window and cuts out the sight of the man being flogged. Why is this treatment necessary? What lies ahead of the young man in the sinister International Brigade? Listen again for thrills and excitement in the next chapter of The Air Adventures of Biggles.
The Air Adventures of Biggles.
Ginger and Ian Ross have at last reached Kratzen in Manchuria, the headquarters of the Communist International Brigade. The plane puts down and taxis close to a cluster of huts. Ginge and Ian see a body of men drawn up before a platform, watching as one of their comrades is flogged.
Keep away from the window, Ian. It isn't a pleasant sight.
Oh, it is horrible. What sort of a place is this?
Pretty foul, I should think. The blokes on that court-martial knew what they were doing when they sent us here.
I want to get away, Ginge. We'll have to escape.
Oh, escape is it? So soon, my little worm, eh? You wait until you have been here for a month. Oh.
Vladimir, have you seen what's going on out there?
The flogging? Oh, yeah, it's a good, eh? Oh, that's what they say in the rather lousy American films, eh? The goods, eh? The Americans are the goods.
It's ghastly. And you're rotten yourself, if you can stand it.
Come quickly from the plane. Maybe we see it close, eh? Always at Kratzen, Vladimir likes to see the flogging.
Why are they doing it? What's that poor brute done?
These things you will learn. The arch is open. Climb out at once. If you don't hurry, we shall miss the flogging.
I don't want to see it. I do not want to see it. I'm going to stay here.
So, I do not teach you yet that you must obey Vladimir.
Why, you swine,
You'll what, eh, worm? You wriggle, eh? Now you see the gun in my hand? You think, don't you? You stop and think. Think always before you try the funny business. Then we be the good pals, like the pictures say, like the buddies, eh? That's what Vladimir likes, to be friends with everyone. Now come, I'll take you to the commandant. On the way, oh, we watch the flogging. Oh, yeah, we must watch the flogging.
Better climb out, Ian. We're in no position to argue.
As they say in the rather funny American films, you're telling of me. But you're the good one to say it. Vladimir, he likes that. These are the men, Commandant. The frightened worm, what is shivering like his straws. And the other one is name I cannot say.
Heppel Thwede. I have received a message about them from Kiev.
Oh, then you know they're not the ordinary recruits. Oh, no ordinary recruit has Vladimir to watch him all the time. But these worms, always they are lucky because they are having the Vladimir.
Yes, very fortunate, but it will make no difference. Here all the recruits are the same. Did you see anything as you came from the plane?
We saw a poor blighter being flogged, if that's what you mean.
It was horrible.
It was punishment for the dog. He did not do at once what he was ordered to do. That is how the members of the International Brigade are treated if they disobey.
It sounds a wonderful brigade.
He does his work. And I've been told that you are to assist in that work, as you are to be punished for crimes you committed in Russia. You are to do more work than the others of the brigade.
We've heard a lot of talk about this work of yours. What is it?
You like to know, eh? Well, I tell you when I'm ready, not before. And until then, while I decide on your first task, you'll be shown where to sleep and instructed in the normal duties of the camp. Then you will take them to Sergeant Malone. Place them in his charge, huh?
Vladimir, stay with them. From now, the worms do not move from Vladimir's side.
Yes, you will stay with him for the moment.
For all time. They tell me this in Kiev. These worms is dangerous. Always Vladimir must stay with them so they do not start funny business.
There is no funny business in Kratzen. And if they work well and do as they are told, perhaps they will earn some privileges. You know of the privileged ones here at Kratzen, Vladimir.
Wow, yeah. As they say in the American films. The wise guys know.
Yes. Remember that, Englishman. At Kratzen, there are privilege for the, as Vladimir says, wise guys. For the others, there's flogging and death. Still hard at it, Biggles. I didn't know I was going to team up with the desk squaller on this job.
That's about all I am, Gimlet. The Foreign Office boys now want a detailed report of my plans. They're going to wink their eye at what we do, and yet they want 18 pages of foolscap telling them about it.
That's the worst of working with the government, old man. You should have stayed a freelance like me.
Sometimes I wish I had. However, once we're off in the kite, it'll be different. No one's going to drag reports from me in Manchuria.
Not if I know you. Everything's going all right?
Yes, I think so. Scotland Yard didn't want us to carry quite so much armament, but we talked them into it. Bertie's at an Army Ordnance Depot picking it out now. Well, how did you get on?
Well, I've seen Coulson, Tremblay, and Peters.
Will they join us?
You'd have to tie him down to keep him off it.
Good work, old son. Now we'll have a hitting force that'll knock these commies.
My word, we will. You know, I haven't felt so fit for ages, Biggles. It's the old smell of a fight coming, I suppose.
You always throve on that, didn't you?
We'll be right back in the old times again. The Biggles team handling the flying end.
And Gimlet King's kittens blowing the land installations to smithereens. Yes, it'll be carrying on an old tradition. However, this isn't the moment for wartime reminiscence. I must finish this darned report so that I can get on with my work.
Anything I can do?
Yes, you might chase up Bertie. Armaments and explosives are in your line, so you can see that he orders enough of the right things.
I should think he would, but I'll see if I can help. What about Pat and Algie? Could I be more use to them?
A landlubber like you would be more likely to get in their way. They're down at the flying boat moorings working on our kite. No, you help Bertie. Pat and Algie can handle anything that crops up at the plane.
Well, what do you think of her, Pat?
She's a beautiful machine, Algie. Very like the old Sunderland flying boat.
She was developed from the Sunderland for the RAF. They were going to use the type as long-range transport.
I thought Biggles said there was only one Scorpion made.
That's all, and this is it. She was the prototype. But when jets came into use, they didn't go ahead with any more Scorpions. But Biggles thought it'd be the ideal machine for our job, so he wormed it out of the RAF.
Couldn't be better. 4 engines. It'll take us anywhere. In this huge cabin, we could fit 20 men in here.
We might have to before we're through. I say, have you noticed that bird fishing from the small boat over there?
I didn't notice him there. He was the other side of the kite last time I saw him.
That's what's intriguing me. He's been out there all morning, and although he's changed his position about 4 times, he hasn't moved around more than 50 feet from us. He just moves around the kite.
Have you seen him catch any fish?
I haven't noticed any, but I haven't been watching him all the time.
I haven't seen him catch one.
I wonder if he's watching us.
I don't know. He must be going to move again. He's standing up.
Silly ass. If he stands like that, he'll go overboard. Look out there! I knew that had happened.
We'd better help him.
Oh, he'll be all right. He's right beside his boat.
Help! Help! I can't swim!
I'm going in.
No, wait. Pat! I hope he's worth it, Pat.
I've got him. Be ready to help us aboard, Algy.
All right. Do you need me in the water with you?
No. It's only a few yards. I can swim across with him.
Give me a hand, chum. I'll pull you aboard.
Thanks.
Here, come on. Oh, lovely. That's better. Oh, I don't like that water. Just a sec, Pat. I'll help you too.
You look after him. I'm aboard now.
Oh, thanks, lady. Oh, Lummy, you're not real bad in the water. She's not real bad anywhere, chum. You all right?
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm fine now. Oh, I swallowed a bit of water and got a nasty scare, but that don't kill no one.
You don't look as though you're near death.
Rest for a moment and you'll be all right. Then we'll take you across to your boat in the dinghy.
Ta. That's real nice of you now. Hey, some plane you got here.
She's not bad.
Police job, isn't she?
We're in charge of her.
Ah. Hey, going for a long trip, I suppose?
If you're feeling all right, you can climb into the dinghy. I'll take you across to your boat.
Oh, just a minute more, if you don't mind. Oh, that was a bit of a shock to the old system. Where you going on the trip?
Look, chum, this kite is nobody's business but ours. You can cut out the sticky beating.
I was only asking a civil question.
Why?
Well, what do you mean, why?
Why are you so interested in this plane?
Well, there's no need of clearing a bloke like that.
And why did you so conveniently fall into the water just now? So that you could come aboard?
Oh, no, look here, mister.
Look here, you little rat. You deliberately... Quick, Pat, grab him.
Oh, no, me, Jack.
Good gracious, he's swimming.
Of course he's swimming. The other business was a stunt to get aboard the kite. That little swine is a spy.
Von Stalhein warned Ginger that he'd set spies to watch Biggles. Is this one of his men? There'll be drama and excitement in the next thrilling chapter of The Air Adventures of Biggles. The Air Adventures of Biggles. Ginger and Ian Ross have at last joined the Communist International Brigade, and they don't like the look of it. Back in England, Biggles is preparing for his big raid on the brigade's Manchurian headquarters at Kratzen. He has enlisted the aid of the famous commando, Captain Gimlet King, and is in the final stages of equipping and organizing for the trip. At the flying boat base, Pat and Algy have been carefully checking their plane, the huge Scorpion. They become suspicious of a fisherman who has remained close to the flying boat all day. When he falls into the water and shouts that he cannot swim, Pat rescues him and pulls him aboard the machine. Very quickly the man realizes that Algy suspects him, and he dives back into the water and swims strongly for his boat.
He's swimming. He said he couldn't.
That was a stunt to get aboard. He's a spy.
What are you doing, Algy?
Ripping off my coat so that I can go after him. I want to know who he's spying for.
I'll go. I can swim faster than you.
No, Pat, he might turn nasty.
Then I'll turn nasty myself. Bye-bye, Algy.
Pat!
Come back, Pat. You're too late. He's almost to the boat. Come back, Pat.
Stop him now! Come back!
Yes, lady. You better go back. I don't need no more help, thanks.
You're coming back to the plane.
No fear, I'm not. Here, don't grab the boat. I told you not to grab it.
Are you coming out or will I climb aboard?
You'll stay in the water even more so. There. You dirty swine! Wait till I get there. You'll be too late, chum. For her and me.
I'm here, Patsy. I've got you.
Alger.
Don't worry. Stay quiet and relax. I'll take you back to the kite.
You're quite sure this man was spying?
He was certainly up to no good. Look at the bump on my head.
Oh, you poor old thing. Here, do you feel all right, Pat?
I feel as if there's a pneumatic drill on my forehead, but apart from that, I'm fine.
She's lucky to be alive. When she tried to climb into the boat, this boat picked up a paddle and whacked her with it. If I hadn't been there, she'd have been drowned.
Oh, don't you believe it, Algy? Why, I was conscious again by the time you reached me.
You were also waterlogged. If I hadn't reached you, you'd have gone down.
I'm glad you came out of it, Pat. Why did you tackle the bloke anyway? That was Algy's job.
Well, I was going
But
to...
I'm a pig-headed female, and I dived in before him. Swimming's about the only thing I do better than you men. And I like to show off with it.
Well, don't you show off like that anymore. We men would like to keep you with us.
I promise to be more careful in future, Biggles.
A spy, eh? But you didn't have the chance to question him.
That's why we tried to grab him. I wanted to know who he was spying for.
I think we can guess that, Algy.
Von Stalhein?
Either von Stalhein or the communist organization. There'd be plenty of our local commos willing to spy for headquarters. Your fisherman must be one of them.
Well, then perhaps we could trace him. Most of the local comms are well known, aren't they?
Oh, I think we could find him easily enough, but why bother? His information will be on the way to Europe by now, and he isn't important to us personally.
I wonder what information he has.
Have either of you noticed him before today?
No, but that doesn't mean he wasn't there. There are quite a few small craft along the base. It was only when he poked his nose close to our machine that we became aware of him.
Were there any questions he asked which suggested how much he knew?
Why, hanged if I remember.
There was one, Algy. He asked if the flying boat was a police job.
That's right. And he asked it as if he knew anyway.
Then the cat's out. If von Stalhein learns that a big flying boat is being equipped by air police, and that it's being manned by folk answering our descriptions, he'll know everything.
You think he'll guess we're going to Manchuria?
He couldn't miss, Pat. Well, it seems we've lost the advantage of surprise, so we'll have to alter our plans.
How?
We weren't going to leave for another couple of days. Now we know this, we'll take off tonight. I doubt if your spy will dare show his face again for a day or two, so we may slip away without being noticed.
Are we ready to go tonight?
We'll have to be. Food and personal stores are aboard, aren't they?
Yes, but Bertie hadn't brought down the guns and explosives by the time we left.
Oh, they'll be there by now. And if the load isn't complete, we'll top it up in Korea.
How about Gimlet? Wasn't he going to see some of his men?
They've been lined up. They'll have to leave sooner than expected, that's all. The only job that won't be finished will be my report for the Foreign Office. And that'll be just too bad. Now, do you feel up to more work, Pat?
Of course.
Then you and Algy hop straight back to the kite and make her ready for the takeoff. Take your things with you and stay aboard until the rest of us arrive.
Roger. You know, I'm almost glad that bloke came on the scene today. He started things moving.
Yes, he may have started them moving behind the Iron Curtain, too. And that could be very dangerous for Ginge and Ian Ross. However, we'll be out there to help them as soon as we can possibly make it.
What's this place?
This is the hut where you live. Happy place, no. You will be having a wonderful life living here, huh?
After the bodies have been cleared away. Looks as if there's liable to be a murder down the other end.
A friendly little discussion, that is all. They talk a lot, those boys. Yeah, all the time they talk. Sergeant Malone!
Well, that's the bloke we had to report to, isn't it, Ginge?
Yes, Vladimir said he's in charge of the hut.
You can take your choice, Clutson. Either you do as I say, you feel that whip over your shoulders. Get that in your skull and keep it there. What is it, Vladimir?
You have a little party, no? Huh?
Cut the funny talk and tell me what you want. I've enough trouble with Clutson without you playing the big comic about the place.
One day you said that too many times, Sergeant Malone. Then you'll be sorry. Like in the American films.
Okay. Who are these guys?
They're the new recruits. Yeah, the special recruits. Vladimir stays with them all the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The commandant told me they were coming. Smart guys, eh? Thought you were going to be spies, did you? I'm talking to you. When I talk, you answer.
What do you want us to say? How can we spy when we have Vladimir on our back?
And me. There's no spying. No attempts to escape, no nothing while I'm around, see? Except what I say. Understand?
Aye.
We get the general idea.
Good. Just don't try to be smart, you guys. That's all. Just don't try to be smart. Okay, Vladimir. If you're going to be their nurse, Major, you better come down to my desk and tell me what goes on.
Yeah. What goes on here for them is the work. These are soldiers, eh? We're making them work, huh? We drill, eh? All the day we drill. Oh, Vladimir, Protopopov had a lot of fun with them. They do the work or they die.
He doesn't seem much of a bloke, Ginge, does he?
No, you can say that again. Sergeant Malone fits in perfectly with the International Brigade. You know, somehow, I don't think I'm going to like either of them.
Oh, hello there. See, how do you guys got a smoke?
Just a sec. No, I'm sorry. I'm afraid I haven't. Now I come to think of it, neither of us carry them.
Oh, I see. I could have done with one, but it doesn't matter.
Wasn't it you the sergeant was shouting at when we came in just then?
Yeah, I say, it usually is. We go on shouting at each other till one of us bumps the other one off.
Oh, dear. He seems a thoroughly unpleasant character. Sergeant Malone?
He killed my buddy. As Malone talked Johnny Briggs me into joining this dirty outfit. When Johnny tries to make a break, Malone croaks him. He bashed him with a hammer. That's why they put him in charge of the hut, because he's loyal, see? But I'll get him for it one day. Don't you worry, Johnny boy. I'll get him. Boy, their phone, huh?
Wait, what's the matter?
Hello.
It's a phone.
Oh, hello, Commandant.
They usually call through from headquarters to pass on the assignments.
Sure, okay.
I haven't got one today.
What about
Not
these
yet.
other guys that got up here? There's quite a lot of
It's
them.
probably telling the sergeant about us. We are new recruits.
Yeah.
Or rather, we're more prisoners than recruits.
Something about that.
Aren't we all?
Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
my name is Ginger Hebblethwaite.
What's that? Yeah.
And this other chap is
What name?
Ian Ross.
Oh, say, glad to meet you.
How do you do?
I'm called Joe Klutz, and I... One time Marine Joe Klutz. Now I'm just a stinking, dirty, rotten deserter.
Look, perhaps we'll be able to help you. Ginge, if Biggles...
Quiet, you fool.
Yeah. I'll have to be quiet now, like good little boys. Here comes teacher.
I can hear you, Clutson. I can hear you. But don't worry, you'll keep. Now then, which of you guys is called Hebblethwaite?
I am.
The commandant just called up. You're to go to his office right away. Your first assignment's coming up, buddy. And you'd better do it good.
This is a brigade which is working against the troops of the United Nations. And now Ginge is to work with it. What will he be called on to do? Ginge will face a dreadful decision in the next exciting episode of The Air Adventures of Biggles.